Welcome to Sportsbookreview.com. It's the NFL 2020 regular season win totals, and we're in the NFC South. And if there's a smile on my face, it's because this is where I'm so confident. I'm joined by Drew, and I'm joined by Donny. Donny, Saints, 10 wins. Bucks at 9. That's the Brady effect already kicking in. The Falcons at 8. And the poor old Panthers at 5.5.
Yeah, no, if you're going to take a look at the top, I think we can all come to agreement here that, you would think that the New Orleans Saints are the best team in the division, which I do. Coming back with Drew Brees still for yet another year, and I like what's being said out of New Orleans. Now, we'll see if that's the case, because I've always been a proponent. There's no guy that cares more about his stats than Drew Brees than anybody else on the planet. He wants to get his in the payroll aspect of it, and he wants to get his on the field. But if they're really going to move in and say, Taysom Hill is going to take 35 to 40% of the snaps, I'm really interested, because you look no further than playing in a dome last year against a really good defense in the Minnesota Vikings. That game doesn't finally open up for the home team until Taysom Hill is throwing lasers 60 yards downfield so you can extend the field. If you can sit and collapse the pocket on Drew Brees and say you can't throw that 15-yard out, you can't throw that 40-yard deep pass, you can really have a hold on the New Orleans Saints. But if they're true to their story, the New Orleans Saints should be fine this year, and Taysom Hill should get an increased workload, which only means more options for the offense. I like the New Orleans Saints. If you're going to list them at 10, I think that's a fair price. They're going to need to press the gas pedal here in a competitive NFC to get that 11 and 12 to actually get a bye week, which, as we know, Drew's going to bring up here in just a few moments astutely. Boy, that 1 seed means a whole heck of a lot more than coming in the 2 seed and not getting the bye. They're the class of this division. I think they hold on. 10 is a fair price, but hey, we're gamblers here. I'm going to have to say they're going over that win total and getting to 11 wins, because that's what it's going to probably take to get that division.
Drew, I'm going 12 wins minimum. 12. Maybe even 13 and 3. Oh. I'm loving it. You know me, I don't sit on no fences. I've starred it. I've gone Saints, no worries. And it's because of Brady going into the Bucks. Brady, never been a fan of him, Drew.
Well, yeah, I think your breakdown of the Saints was fair. I'm leaning over too, although I'm still a little concerned about Drew Brees' arm strength. Bucks and Brady, I'm selling this in every way I can possibly sell this. This is not a good fit. I don't understand why Brady made this decision. I don't understand why the Bucks made this decision. This is like the dumbest thing that's happened this whole offseason, and people are like high on the Bucks because of this. Like, find me a more talented set of downfield wide receivers paired with a guy that is completely the opposite of the strengths in Brady's game now. Like, just like you look at they don't have especially good pass catching running backs. O.J. Howard's performance has regressed substantially. I don't know if he's all of a sudden just going to be this awesome big target over the middle that Brady likes, like like we saw with Gronk back in the day. Like, there are a lot of question marks surrounding this marriage, and I got to be honest, people are we're all plotting Todd Bowles' defense last year with the Bucks, and like, oh, this is a defense that's coming together. They're coming on. Like, their pass defense still stinks. Like, they had a great run defense, sure. Like, that helped them stay in games. And Jameis Winston obviously is, you recognize that he was throwing a ton of backbreaking interceptions. Most of those were early in the games, and they were still live in a lot of those games. They exceeded expectations last year under Jameis Winston. I do not see this team as a buy at all. And the fact that the market has reacted so positively to this pairing is a real head scratcher, because I got to tell you, I expect we'll see another 2 years of Brady decline. Maybe he has a little bit of a bump this year just because he's going to be, paired with a little bit more set of dynamic wide receivers. But like, think about his game nowadays. Like, with a offensive line that is not great, Brady's going to have to get the ball out of his hands dang quick. And I mean, are Evans and Godwin the kind of guys that are getting you tons of yards after catch? After making short 3-5 yard receptions? No, these are guys that get open down the field and make spectacularly athletic catches. And that is the antithesis to what Brady is doing well right now in his game. So I'm with you in selling the Bucks. And if that creates value on the Saints, then so be it.
Yeah, and I just think that Jameis Winston, I would have stuck with him because he did very, very little wrong outside of turning the ball over. Now, he turned the ball over and still won football matches. So for me, if he just learns not to be so flamboyant, not to be so Machiavellian, then I think that there's definitely an upgrade in the Bucks with Jameis Winston. So I would have stuck with him, to be honest, or I think someone else should just come in and try and take him because he's better than some. I mean, you look about Nick Foles. I would have took Jameis Winston over Nick Foles. Anyway, what about the Falcons 8 or the Panthers at 5.5, Drew?
I'll talk about the Falcons, I guess, and I would say I'm really still ready to lean under on this team. I don't love the way that this team is rostered. I don't love Dan Quinn as a head coach. I know that they threw the defense to was it Leslie Frazier? They gave him the reins of the defense, and they took that off of Dan Quinn's responsibilities, and you saw a marked improvement in the defense last year after they made that move. And they have lost a couple of key players on their defense that really were the only guys that had anything positive that they brought to the table last year. So I still think this is a team that's going to have to win with offense, and this offense is getting older. Matt Ryan is starting to get into the point of his career where he's taking steps backwards. They tried to put an offensive line together last year that was going to be robust and give him time, and that was a complete and abject failure. I don't think that they have hit at all with some of the youth that they've gone after to kind of fortify this offensive line. And I think this is going to be a tough season for the Falcons. All of the metrics say they should bounce back. They should do well this year. But with as poor as they've been, they've been playing on defense under Dan Quinn, I just can't buy into it. And it's only a matter of time before we start really seeing the true cracks show with Matt Ryan getting up there in age and with his wide receivers as well.
The only time you get involved with the Falcons is when you bet overs in games, because they couldn't stop the run, they couldn't stop the pass, they were just like giving up, like interceptions, there was fumbles, there was any way to give the opposition points. So you just don't even worry about them, just go overs. And the Panthers at 5.5, Donny. Oh, I'd love to go under again, but I think that number's enticing to go over, to be honest.
Yeah, a couple quick points here. Just getting back to Tampa Bay before we hit on Carolina here. I think Drew sums it up really well. You're taking a look at it. What did you want from the Buccaneers to do this year? You still need an athletic quarterback who doesn't have the turnovers. So now you go and say, I'm going to get a quarterback that is really built on a really good defense in New England and to win the game in some clutch moments. Not a quarterback that's going to come out and throw you to victory like you need with that Tampa Bay defense. I don't know if it's going to be a disaster. I think they're fairly lined at 9, and I think they'll be at that 8-8, 9-7. But all this, oh my God, they're going to be a Super Bowl contender now. Wait and see here. This is not the same construction of a team where you went through the entire practice week practicing an elite level defense and getting all the secrets during the week and the answers to those secrets before he lined up Sunday. That's now gone for Brady. And let's not keep imagining as well, you're not going to have any offseason. He knew exactly where those wide receivers are going to be in New England. They were bad last year and they were injured, but you knew where Edelman was going to be. He's going to be wide open. You don't have that anymore over the middle. You're going to see a different type of Brady this year. I'm interested to watch to see how it pans out. But getting back to the Panthers, you have a program builder. Maybe you don't see those instant results this year. I love the move to Teddy Bridgewater, maybe as a bridge guy saying, you know what? I know exactly what I'm going to get out of this guy. He's going to keep my offense in rhythm. He's not going to turn the football over. He's going to be there each and every time as a team leader. But you lose Luke Kuechly on defense. It is a time of transition, but I like the moves that the Panthers are doing. Do I think it's going to show up this year? Not so much, but in 2 or 3 years, this team is going to be building. Matt Rule did it at Temple, did it in an unbelievable fashion at Baylor when everybody should have had that program dead to rights, basically written off. He built that program back out of the ashes. He'll do that again in Carolina. Don't know if it's going to show up this year, but I like the trending fashion for them. And the Atlanta Falcons, they burned me so bad last year. I'm not getting back into it because when we say, well, maybe they're going to get healthy, Flash, the Atlanta Falcons for this season, right? They're never healthy. They're a Julio Jones cramp or injury away from just being completely irrelevant again, and that's where I'll leave them.
Yeah, listen, NFC South in a nutshell, over 10 for the Saints, under 9 for the Bucks. Another reason for the Saints, I just got to mention it. You know that I've got to mention it. It's Eli Apple. No more with the Saints. He's gone to the Raiders. That's worth another 2 games to the Saints. So come on, Saints, over 10, win the NFC South, and I just hope they get the #1 seed in the NFC, which is going to be a very, very tough ask. Cheers, Drew. Cheers, Donny, and I'll see you next time.